All yours.
Well, good morning, friends, and welcome again to Unity Radiant Light. I'm so excited to be here with you today to talk about the power of imagination. Um, First and foremost, what I want to do is I want to share just a couple of quotes that I found online about imagination, just to give you something to think about. Albert Einstein said, "Logic will get you from A to B. Imagination will take you everywhere." Just love that one. Jean-Jacques Rousseau said, "The world of reality has its limits. The world of imagination is boundless." And that's what we're going to talk about today is this idea of the power of imagination. I know that you have been going through a series of talks on the 12 powers that Charles Fillmore came up with, the co-founder of Unity. Um, Emphasized a lot on these 12 powers. They are, just in case you were wondering what all 12 of them were, if you're not familiar with them, faith, strength, wisdom, love, power, imagination, understanding, will, order, zeal, elimination, and life. And I'm very excited because I get to speak to you today about imagination. I'll be here in 2 weeks and talk to you about the power of will. And then I will be here on that last week. I can't remember what the date is in September. Think it's I'm not sure, but I'll be here for the power of life. So to close out that series. The, the 12 powers, I've heard it said that they reflect our divine nature, right? The power of faith, strength, imagination, whichever power you're talking about, it's reflecting that divine nature. We can tap into ourselves, go within, and we have these powers that, well, for lack of a better explanation, we can call them forth, right? I can go into a meditation and I can ask for any combination thereof, right? Maybe I want to come up with a really good talk, right? So maybe I want to call forth that power of imagination to tap into the divine ideas that are always there, that are always available to me, but yet I want to focus my attention on grabbing onto a couple of them that I can present a fairly decent talk for you, one that will get you thinking, right? Um, but I want to ask you this. How many of you, and nobody has to raise their hand, no answers required. I just want to kind of throw a question out there. How many of us work with these 12 powers on a daily, a weekly, or a monthly basis? Do you actively use the powers in your meditations? Or are the 12 powers just something that you know about and you kind of go, oh, yeah, I can list all 12, or I could maybe even tell you which apostles are associated with the power, but I don't really use them on a daily basis. There's nothing wrong with that. We have so many things available to us to use to enhance both our spiritual lives and our human experiences that um, you're not wrong if you're not using them on a daily basis. But I wanted to kind of throw the idea out there that maybe you might want to use it as a tool. Sometimes we get stuck. We feel like we're really not making any progress. And why not try something new, right? Um, Try to work with these 12 powers. In fact, what I'm going to suggest is that you start thinking about how you can combine them, different combinations. So far, you've gone through the first five powers. So faith is that ability to believe with confidence and have conviction. Strength is the ability to endure or persist. Wisdom or judgment is the ability to discern and evaluate. Love is the ability to harmonize and unify. And power is the ability to master and dominate. And when we say dominate, we don't mean dominate other people. right? We mean dominate ourselves, dominate our actions, our behaviors, our thought patterns, etc. And now today we're going to add this imagination, which is the ability to envision, to dream, to conceptualize. Um, and it's about envisioning and dreaming something that is not currently present to our five senses. Okay. So it's not already here. It's not something we can see or hear or feel or smell or taste, but it's an idea. And if you've been in Unity for a while, you know that ideas are divine ideas that are always available to us, and we're constantly manipulating them to kind of use them, right? Have you ever been in a meditation and all of a sudden an idea just pops into your head, right? And you're like, where'd that come from? Divine idea, right? So I find it interesting. I just, as a little kid growing up, I can remember um, my mother saying to me, Kathleen, you're not very creative. You can't draw a straight line with a ruler. And I never thought of what that really meant. But I will tell you that I took a hold of that and thought, yeah, I'm not creative. And it wasn't until years later, when I became an adult, when I found Unity, that all of a sudden I realized, hey, wait a minute, that's not true. I'm not a very good artist. I will tell you that. I don't draw very draw things very well. But I try. I can do abstract, I'm sure. Um, but that doesn't mean that I don't have creativity inside of me. It doesn't mean that I can't use imagination um, in a way that will help me to be more creative, right? We all have that ability. And the only thing that's holding us back is ourselves, right? If I feel like, oh, I have no imagination, maybe somebody has said that to you, or maybe you've heard somebody say that to a friend of yours. Oh, you have no imagination. That's not true. We all have it. We can all tap into it. And the fun thing is, who knows what it's going to turn out to be like, right? Who knows where we will end up going if we actually tap into that? I was reading a few different books about the powers. And I went into the Heart-Centered Metaphysics book, which is that textbook that we use for SEE classes for metaphysics. And it was talking about Bartholomew represents the power of imagination. In the Bible, in John chapter 1, it talks about Jesus recognizing Bartholomew before Bartholomew was actually physically seen. And that's why he represents that power. Jesus asked Bartholomew, who was called Nathaniel at first, do you believe because I told you that I saw you under the fig tree? Well, Bartholomew was under the fig tree before his brother even came to him and asked him if he wanted to join Jesus, right? And Jesus knew this. So it's an example of what can happen. Has anybody here ever had a vision of some sort, right? You imagine something unfolding. You can almost see how it's going to look when it's all said and done. And then you set your mind to it, you set your goals, and you take the action steps, and suddenly it unfolds exactly the way you envisioned it or similar to the way you envisioned it. This is all about using the power of imagination. But I don't think that it's the power of imagination all by itself sometimes. If you have an idea to start a new business and you want to see it grow and expand, etc., do you think maybe having the power of faith might be helpful? Right? The ability to believe with conviction as you're trying to start a new business that you can't really see yet. You're not really bringing in the money yet, but you're almost there. So maybe faith coupled with imagination, or if you're facing a challenge, right? Sometimes we need to couple the power of strength with the power of imagination, right? Imagining ourselves whole and complete when we're facing a health challenge, and then calling forth that power of strength so that we can continue to persist and persevere and treat ourselves well and keep the training going. What if you're training for a marathon? We've been talking about the Olympics for a couple of weeks, right? Training for track events or any kind of event, right? Persevere, keep that training going as you imagine yourself receiving the gold medal, right? You see how that works? We can have a lot of fun with this. I've been trying it lately, and I'm really enjoying the idea of how do I couple the power of love with the power of imagination, or the power of zeal. Zeal's a good one. You'll get to that soon enough, right? But I would suggest trying it. Check it out. In the book Divine Audacity by Linda Martella Whitsett, this is a book that talks a lot about the 12 powers. And she wrote that imagination is that powerful capacity to picture what can be, hold the idea, and then develop it until we feel its effects before manifestation. I think that's very important to remember, right? You can actually feel the effects before the manifestation takes place. I'm going to guess that there are a couple of people here at least who have experienced that. And maybe you knew, maybe you didn't know that it was the power of imagination that was kind of triggering all this stuff. James Dillett Freeman, you guys remember him? He's the one that wrote The Prayer for Protection and other poetry for unity. He is quoted as saying, imagination is the act or power of forming a mental image of something not present to the senses or never before wholly perceived in reality. It's a power that frees us from the limitations of our senses. It's that power of conception. Okay. So how creative can we be? There's no limit. There is no limit. But if I'm not making this a part of my daily routine, if I am not thinking about this on a regular basis or experimenting with combining powers, etc., then it kind of loses its impact. It can greatly impact my human experience, I believe. I believe it has for many of us. And what fun would that be, right? What fun could that be? Even when we're going through a challenging time, if I can sit and take a few minutes every morning or a few minutes every evening and just call forth that power of imagination and see, where am I going to go next? What actions can I take to maybe become a writer? Let's say I want to become a writer, right? Maybe I can imagine myself writing a book. See myself sitting at the computer and typing away and seeing the pages develop as we go along. All of that gets visible in the mind first. Then I sit down at the computer and I start to type and see where spirit takes me. Logic will get us from A to B, but imagination will take you everywhere. So here's the deal. I want to take us through a little bit of a longer meditation today. I didn't want to just take a couple minutes because the power of imagination is all that. It's all about visualizing. It's all about conceptualizing, right? And so I want to invite you to just get quiet for a little bit, and we'll go through a meditation together, and see where you go, because I can't control that. Um, Spirit's going to guide you. So I invite you to get comfortable wherever you are. And as always, we start by just taking a couple of nice, long, deep breaths, cleansing breaths. So inhale and exhale out slowly and deliberately. Keep breathing deeply. Feel your body relaxing into the chair. We know that what is happening now is that we are becoming present in this moment. As the body relaxes and we let go of anything that might have been going on a few minutes ago, and we breathe deeply as we call forth this power of imagination. How can I live when I am on purpose, conceiving and envisioning fulfillment? Breathe into the moment. Open your minds and your hearts to the divine ideas that are out there and in there with you. Everything comes from divine mind. Every divine idea comes from the divine. We are calling forth that power of imagination. We are fully capable of imagining the best. This power is unlimited. And so we sit in the silence for a few moments, allowing bright divine ideas to pop into our heads as we breathe into it. Imagination is natural to us. And we use the power of imagination all of the time. With imagination, we can envision reuniting with a long-lost friend. We can envision bringing peace wherever we may go. With the power of imagination, we can celebrate our success before we have even begun. As we move through this time of meditation, we become aware of the fact that this power of imagination is our capacity to dream of what has not yet manifested. It helps us to flesh out ideas that may pop into our minds. And it allows us to feel the benefit of it in advance of its fulfillment. Today we embrace this ability to envision, to dream, to conceptualize that which is not manifest yet. Today we acknowledge our powerful capacity to picture what can be, to hold the idea, and to commit to developing it until we feel its effects, even before manifestation. What a powerful ability imagination is. Available to everyone. No one left out. No one excluded. We remain open to all possibilities. And so it is. Amen. Before you open your eyes, just take a couple of deep breaths now. Begin to come back to this place and this time. Feeling the effects of where you went during that meditation. Move your body a little bit. Wiggle your fingers and toes. And when you're ready, you may open your eyes. Welcome back, friends.